Hi everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So I have a little bit of a funny story for you guys. This is my Reading 3 horror vlog, and I have already read all 3 of these books, which typically in the intro I have not, but somehow my original intro got corrupted, so here I am filming it again. So the 3 books that I read for this vlog were Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates, Horns by Joe Hill, and Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay. I enjoyed all of these on some level, but one of them a little bit less than the others. I don't want to give you any spoilers in the intro, so we're just going to jump right on into the video. Hi everybody, so I am 121 pages into Voices in the Snow. I meant to update well before now, but I just was so sucked into this book and I just kept going and going and going, and I completely forgot to update. We're starting this vlog off the right way, aren't we? I think so. So, in Voices in the Snow, already right off the bat, isolated setting, 2 characters. I'm loving this. This is exactly my type of story. Darcy Coates is very, very good at fueling atmosphere and just making you feel like you're right there in the moment. In this story, we are following Claire, who was racing to get to her aunt's house in the middle of a snowstorm. She drives through this forest and crashes her car, and she wakes up in this strange house with this man at her bedside, and he tells her that he has rescued her from her mangled car, but the snow is too bad to get to a hospital, and they are stuck at his family's estate together. This, right off the bat, started giving me major Misery vibes by Stephen King, but it has a paranormal twist to it. And it's very, very interesting because it's like all of this weird stuff starts happening, and the house is making these weird noises, and she keeps seeing really, really strange stuff. But he says he doesn't see it. Or that, oh, it's like the house can be a little spooky until you get to know it. But then at the same time, he's telling her things about his family and like some of the twisted, messed up stuff that they have done. And it kind of has me wondering if he can be trusted. Like, I want to trust him. He seems like a very, very sweet guy, but some of this stuff just feels a little too coincidental. It's like he's lived here all his life, but he hasn't seen any of the stuff that she's seeing. That seems a little odd to me. And yet he's literally telling her about this twisted, demented history that he has with his family. And it's like he's supplying her with pain medication, and it's unlabeled, and I'm just like, is he giving her something that's making her hallucinate? I really don't know. I am so into this story, and it was very hard for me to find a stopping point just so that I could even update you guys because it's that good. But with that being said, I'm going to jump right back into it, and I will get back to you here in a little bit. Hi, everybody. So, I have a small little confession to make. As much as I am enjoying Voices in the Snow, this clip is shot probably a good month after the last one. I did take a break, not because I wasn't enjoying the book, but because I wasn't reading anything. And the reason for that is I've just been so focused on drafting the sequel to my upcoming book. I have been writing like 12 hours a day, and then I'm trying to like take care of my medical treatments and everything else in the other 12 hours. So I just haven't had the time really to read, but I hit my word count early today, and I sat down and I dove right back into Voices in the Snow, and now I'm up to 80%. And I have got to say, Darcy Coates is doing it again. I love her. I really, really love her work. She is so good. She is so clever at building atmosphere and building character relationships. And this book in particular, I thought it was starting off one way, and it's completely guided me left field, and it's taken me on a wild ride, and I absolutely love it. And I'm even more impressed that she is doing this with a cast of 2 characters. I mean, talk about an isolated setting. Everybody knows I love that. And this is definitely to the extreme. I think the only other book that I can think of that only had a cast of 2, well, actually, I think there was 3 in that book, was Misery by Stephen King. And I thought that this was going to be a lot like Misery when I first started it because of the way that it started. But that one actually had a couple more characters. It was primarily the 2 of them in the house, but there were a couple of other characters off to the side. This one is basically just 2, with the exception of a phone conversation that our main character had at the very beginning of the book with her sister. And I'm not really counting that because it was a phone conversation. So, yes, I am very impressed with this book. I'm very impressed with the way that she's handling it. And I'm kind of sad that it's going to be wrapping up relatively soon. Like I said, I'm 80% in. And I'm going to try to finish it tonight simply because I have to get right back to my writing tomorrow, and I don't want to take any longer to finish this book. But the good news is this is part of a trilogy, and it's the first series of hers that I've read. So even though this book is drawing to a close, at least I know I have more. I don't know if it's going to be a continuation of this story or if it's more in the universe. But either way, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. So this started off so suspenseful with our main character, Claire, getting in a car accident because of a horrible blizzard. And like I said, she came to in this gothic mansion with this man telling her that he has saved her life. And it was making me think misery, misery, misery. I really thought, with the way that it started, that it was a gender-swapped Misery. And it didn't take long for that to go completely out of the window because there was the supernatural twist that got it added into it, where Claire started seeing these creatures in the mansion and all of these weird, twisted beings, but he doesn't see them. And I really started calling into question, can I trust this guy? Can I not trust this guy? It's like it was really, really messing with my head. But now I have a couple of theories. Because we've learned more information since my last update. Claire there was a fight between the 2 characters, and Claire made a go trying to get back to her car. And when she got to the car, she remembered what actually happened when she crashed and why she was on the road to begin with, which up until this point she had forgotten. And it turns out that there was this worldwide sensation of places becoming uncontactable and going into quiet zones. And she was trying to go and pick up her aunt and make it her sister, who had an underground bunker, because they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know if it was a virus. They didn't know if it was a war attack. They didn't know what it was. But they just knew that things were happening. And then when Claire was driving through this forest, she saw these creatures, these humanoid, twisted creatures that basically forced her off the road. And as she remembers that, they're coming after her again. And Doran shows up and he saves her life. And now he believes her because he's seen him. And now they are just in this in this mansion fighting for survival, trying to keep these things out and stay alive. And I'm like, it was a turn that I did not see coming. Not gonna lie to you, I'm not typically big on monster stories. But that's not what this feels like. It feels kind of more like The Walking Dead almost. Like, these things feel like zombies. But it's not so much about that. It's about them surviving. And I think that's why I'm drawn to it, because although these things exist in this world, it is more so about them surviving. And I like a good survival story. I like the whole fight or flight elements. So I am interested to see where this book ends, where the rest of the series goes, because like I said, this is so off left field from what I was expecting when I started it, but I'm loving it. So I am going to finish this book and I will update you guys later tonight. Holy moly, you guys. I finally finished Voices in the Snow and I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. I loved the way that it ended. I loved everything about it. I loved the characters. My theory was wrong, which was nice. I don't hold it against a book if I figure out a twist, because that's pretty normal for me. But it is always a nice surprise if I don't. And this time I didn't. I was starting to believe that Claire and Doran were both dead, and they were not. So that was nice. That was a nice surprise. There was something else going on that I kind of had figured out, but I had myself convinced that they weren't really alive and they were like in a purgatory or something, and that ended up being wrong. So, very, very happy with that. This was such a good book. And talk about a cliffhanger. Talk about a cliffhanger. I'm glad that this has 2 more books, because with the way that it ended, I would be like going out of my mind. I'm not sure which book is the second book, but I will be starting that very, very soon. Yeah, this was awesome. It's probably my favorite Darcy coat so far, and that's saying a lot. I really, really enjoyed it. But next, I am going to be jumping right into Horns by Joe Hill. Hi, you guys. So I am already 79 pages into Horns by Joe Hill. I'm about to start chapter 13. This is a very interesting story. It's very different, but I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I don't hate it, but it's so weird that I'm just kind of like, I think it would be a stretch to say that I love it or even that I like it. But it's definitely different. I haven't read anything like this before. In this, we are following Ignatius Parrish. I think that's how you say his name, but for the majority of the time, he's always called either Ig or Iggy, so I'm not too pressed about pronouncing it correctly. But Iggy wakes up one day with horns like coming out of his forehead, and he doesn't know what is causing it, and he realizes that not only does he have horns, but it seems like he has also developed this unnatural power for anybody that he comes into contact with speaks to him very unfiltered in nature. Like, they don't hold back. They say whatever's on their mind. It's like this magnetic presence that They're just going to say what's on their mind, whether it's appropriate or not, whether it's nice or not. And this is particularly difficult for Iggy because he was accused of essaying and murdering his girlfriend, Marin, and there wasn't enough evidence to put him away, but he's kind of been a social pariah since her death the year before, and now that he has this power, he's hearing what people really think of him, which he already basically knew, but it hits on another level, having people that he thought were close to him say just the most nasty and awful things. Like, there's this one passage with his mom where my heart literally broke in half for him, because she's basically saying she loved him, but she wanted him to go away because he was an embarrassment. And I'm just like, oh, how rough that would be, because it's like, you're in that situation, you would hope that at the very least your family would believe that you didn't do that, and they would be supportive. And on the outside they were, like, they would defend him, but like inside they actually believed it, and they just wanted him and the embarrassment of what he did to just go away. So this is a very interesting story. I'm intrigued to see how he got this ability. He wasn't born with it. He just woke up with it one day. So I'm wanting to see what has kind of spurned this on. I think it's pretty clear that he was falsely accused, at least at this point. If he actually did it, it's going to end up being a twist, because the way that this is written right now, he's definitely falsely accused, which just makes this 10 times worse. I'm definitely intrigued enough to keep going, but it's so weird. But it's just so weird. I just don't know how I feel yet, but I'm going to keep going, and I will keep you guys in the loop. Here in a little bit, I'll let you know how things are progressing and how I'm feeling. Hi everybody, it's been a minute since I updated, so I am on chapter 28 of Horns, and I have to say, while this is an interesting story, and I do want to see how everything plays out, I'm not crazy about it. I probably won't read it again. Well, correction, I definitely won't read it again. I feel like this would have done better as a short story, because it is too long for what it is. It's a very interesting idea, but there's too much of it. So, the whole thing with people constantly voicing their views and their thoughts to Ig because of the power of the horns, it's happened too many times now, in my opinion. It's just like, every single person he comes across, we have to have this monologue of them telling him about what's going on in their lives and the horrible things that they want to do to other people. And I didn't so much have an issue with this when it was people that were connected to Ig personally, like his friends, his family. But when it's the strangers, like a clerk in a grocery store, I literally just read a scene where there was a clerk in a grocery store who was talking about how he was fantasizing about pushing his wife with Alzheimer's down the basement stairs so he could go and be with this other girl that he was in love with. And I'm like, we don't need that scene. We're never going to see this person again. He's nobody to Ig. So why is it there? And there are many scenes that are like that. the background story of the mystery of what happened to Ig's girlfriend Marin the year before, I find that really interesting, and I am invested in that story. And there actually has been a lot of revelations that are somewhat surprising that have come out about that. But it's like all of this stuff along the way, these people voicing their opinions or whatever, unless it is fueling the story for Marin's death or why he has the horns in the first place, I don't really care. So I do feel like this could have been considerably shorter. I'm not in love with it. And at this point, I honestly just want it to be over. I'm going to try to power through this throughout the rest of the day so that I don't really have to read it anymore, which is a shame because I was very intrigued by this in the beginning. But at this point, I feel like it's been going on for too long. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I have COVID. I'm on the tail end of it now, so I can talk a little bit more, but for a while there, it was just, I could not talk without coughing profusely. It was awful. But I have still been reading. I just had to wait to make my update. I finished Horns by Joe Hill. I had such high hopes for this one when I was starting it. It was such an interesting premise, but this just got weirder and crazier as time went on. I really felt like it would have done better as a short story than a novel. It's just, there were so many instances of people like confessing their sins to Iggy that I didn't really feel like added anything to the story or were necessary in any way. And then the ending was just a little on the crazy side. I feel like this had a lot of potential, but it fell flat for me. I didn't like the ending. It just started to feel crazy convoluted. So after I finished this, I watched the movie. And it's so interesting to talk about it because the mindset, the vibes that I got off of the book and the movie were completely different. But I like them both in different ways. Like with the book, I felt like the book was better for the most part. Like the movie came across as extremely comical, and that's not really the vibe that the book was going for. But I felt like the ending made more sense, and they did change it. So, I felt like the ending was more cohesive and made more sense in the movie. So, I don't know. It really depends on your personal taste, I think, and what you're going for personally. But that one kind of fell flat for me. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I was a little disappointed. And then, after I completed that one, I started Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay. I am 126 pages into this, and so far I'm enjoying it. We are following a woman named Elizabeth whose son Tommy has gone missing after he was out with his friends, and his son's friend Josh calls her up in the middle of the night asking if Tommy came home because he's been missing for like an hour. And we're getting these different perspectives, like from her, and we get some perspective from his friends here and there. It is interesting, and I like the writing style a lot, but so far this doesn't feel like a horror book to me, so I was wondering why it was classified as horror. I'm still early, so I'm guessing that I'm going to discover that along the way, but as of right now, I'm a little lost on that. But I am enjoying this, so I'm going to jump right back into it, and I will update you guys here in a little while. Hi, everyone. So I finished Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I mentioned earlier that this was about a woman named Elizabeth who was trying to find her missing son, Tommy. He went missing while he was supposed to be spending the night with his friends, Josh and Luis, and all of this stuff starts to come out, this investigation. His diary pages begin being left out for her, and she's slowly beginning to piece together what happened that night. It is a really cool concept that, like, she's getting help from beyond, basically, and I enjoyed that. I will say that this didn't really feel horror-y to me. It has felt more like a psychological thriller with a paranormal twist. But some people may find this horror. I personally didn't consider it to be horror, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. It was very, very interesting, and I love Paul Tremblay's writing style. This is my second Paul Tremblay behind The Cabin at the End of the World, which I read a couple of years ago, and this was very, very good. I really enjoyed this. Very highly recommend. I gave it a 4 out of 4 stars. Pick this one up if you haven't already read it. Alright, so that is all that I have for you guys today. If you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow me on the social medias. Click that bell if you want to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!